Are you too busy with unclogging your toilets again? You're heading to work in the morning, but you're already tired and unmotivated? You're studying late at night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., just because you procrastinated earlier? You're starting to feel that burnout? Maybe that looming sense of, like, this is just too much for me to handle? I think this is why you serve in ministry with fake enthusiasm. You smile, you display emotions in front of others, when in fact you're just tired, you're stressed and worried. You seek things that will try to help you with all this stuff. Did you know there actually might be a reason why you find yourself mindlessly scrolling at times? You're falling back into old sins, maybe it's vaping, maybe it's porn. Or you find yourself just sitting around just listening to music, not doing anything else. Or maybe you're suddenly just thinking about dating for no reason in particular. Without knowing, you're trying to find outlets for your burnout. And for some of you, you might not even know that you're burnt out, but you still subconsciously look for these different outlets. And maybe it's because you're trying to find a semblance of normalcy or comfort or rest. But in the end, they're like bread that never satisfies. It makes you hungry while it also malnourishes you. Here's the truth. As you look for answers in other things, what you're actually looking for is God. You can't do service and ministry without God. So don't fall into the trap of thinking that time doing that ministry is enough for your spiritual health. You actually need quality time for your spiritual disciplines too. Your fleshly reasoning is thinking that 30 minutes with God is just way too long. I have all these other chores to do. When in fact, it is those 30 minutes with God that allows you to do everything else. That stillness before or after a busy day sounds counterintuitive, but it is necessary. But watching Netflix or binge watching YouTube is more relaxing. Tell me honestly, do you actually feel rejuvenated after doing that? Or maybe for yourself, you might actually be literally so busy with school, work, family stuff, commuting, that you literally have no free time, and you're not exaggerating. But if you reflect, are there things you may have to deprioritize and cut back time on for God? Do you have to learn to say no sometimes? Or are these things just not as important as God to you? Look, it's July 2022 and I wake up to the sound of piss raining down on my cabin wall. I get up and I just find another kid dancing around half naked. I'm telling them to put on some clothes. It's a summer camp and I'm pretty much just running back and forth all day long. One kid I have to bring him to the nurse to get some meds. Another one I'm trying to help make his bed because he doesn't know how. Another kid I'm counseling because he just has relationship problems back home, while another kid is literally just climbing on me. He can't let go and he's just wrestling me all day. By the end of the day, I'm just dead tired, completely exhausted. But instead of going to sleep right away, I would turn on my flashlight in bed and just pore over the pages of my Bible or read Strengthen the Soul of Your Leadership, and just took some time to sit in silence and reflect and pray. And let me tell you, while my physical body was aching and straining, my soul was rejuvenated and my entire being would just be strengthened because I was intentionally spending time with God. Jesus said this, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Remember, it's not you grinding the work all by yourself. When you cook your morning eggs, the yolk is supposed to be carried together, right? The stronger cow is supposed to lead the weaker one, and together they walk. And so Jesus doesn't carry your burdens alone, and he doesn't let you carry your burdens alone. You bring your burdens to him, and he carries it with you. He's saying, I will come alongside you and help you. When you pray and sit before the Lord, I want you to consider these things. When you feel like your service and ministry is just too much to handle alone, remember that Jesus is right there with you. In this way, we can strengthen our faith in the crucible of ministry, not by striving after faith, but by resting in the faithful one. That's Hudson Taylor, absolute legend. When you know that we abide in him and that he abides in us, like John 15, then you can know that he will never leave you. And not just that, but he is in you. And so his strength is yours. His wisdom is yours. As the vine and branches, we are members of his body. So I want you to chill out for a second and consider these things and find rest in Jesus. Now, throughout this video, we've been talking about rest up until now, but there is another side to this, all right? I want you to see Jesus in Mark 6. He was burnt out, all right? He was tired. He was trying to find rest, but ended up teaching and feeding the 5,000 instead. There are sacrifices that we need to be willing to make sometimes. Do you have compassion for those you serve? So much so that you're willing to give up your personal time? Do you care about them so much so that their interests and problems are put above your own? And that's not all. Even after Jesus just pushed through that heavy day, burnt out like crazy, instead of resting to sleep, he actually goes by himself to a mountainside to pray. And he did that for a few hours, right? Even after that, he went on to save his disciples at sea because they were going through a storm. And then even after that, he spent the rest of the time, no rest, just go straight into running around the region and healing and teaching people. I just want you to consider the standard of a servant's heart and faithfulness to which he has set before us. It's the amount of sacrifice, the love, the purpose-driven person you have to be like Jesus is just insane. I just want you to think about that for a second. And lastly, before we wrap up, I want to say one last thing. It's okay to go and ask help from others, all right? Break your pride. Sometimes you just can't do it by yourself. And sometimes God just wants you to be humble enough to admit that we need a helping hand from a brother or sister. All right, that is it for this video. Just a quick one, but I hope that it was an encouragement to you. Just remember, if anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. So please, kill the flesh.
Showing up uninvited. Phone up, girl, I need to go silent.